Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. This week, I want to talk a little bit about value and how we come up with value. Value, of course, would be rarity times demand. Okay, if the note you have isn't rare, it's not going to be worth a whole lot. If the note you have isn't in demand, it's not going to be worth a whole lot, even if it's one of a kind. If nobody wants it, there's no value there. But when we try to put a number on that value, I would highly, highly recommend getting some type of price guide. Here's the point of getting a price guide. With a price guide, whether the numbers in there are old or not, here is the current paper money of the United States. Any note that you find in this guide, this one happens to be the 23rd edition. If you grab the 22nd edition, or the 21st edition, or the 20th edition, or the 5th edition, whatever edition of this note that you get, every note that's listed in here will have an approximate value. Okay? So, it's simply a matter of determining what the current market is based on that particular value. Is it up or down? And in collectibles, over time, they tend to go up. If you are collecting a certain thing that doesn't have a price guide for it, that should be a red flag. You should start asking questions as to why people think that that is worth money. If there is no price guide, that means not enough people are interested in buying a guide to determine the values. So many people will tell you, look at current auction prices. And I disagree, because just because one person falls for a scam doesn't mean that that note is worth something. If somebody wants to pay me $10,000 for this note, that does not make all of these notes worth $10,000 each. That means one person got scammed out of $10,000. Other people will say, oh no, if you find multiple sales. Well, yeah, if there's multiple sales of this note selling for $6, even though it's worth face value, that just means multiple people got ripped off. The funny thing is that the lower the price, the more likely someone will take a chance. If I said you can buy this note for $5, somebody out there probably would, thinking, okay, well, maybe it'll be worth something in the future. I'll risk $1, or I'll risk $5, because $5 isn't that big of a deal. But when you have someone who sells hundreds or thousands of these for $5 a piece, they're ripping off hundreds or thousands of people. So yeah, there's your first step in determining value. If there's a guide out there for it, there's a great starting point. All right, let's check what I found this week. Let's start off with, here's a note that says Dave and Jean and Fran and Peter 2025. I found this in circulation. Somebody found the need to write that on there. That's kind of cool. I found it. I showed it. Obviously no value, because if there was, I'd write this on every note. Here's another one, probably from the same party, Amanda and Josh and Janet 2025. Here's a Where's George. Where's George is cool. That's all you got to do is type in the number at where'sgeorge.com. You can find out where the note has been. Also, when you stamp Where's George on a note, that does not make it worth money. If it did, I'd just stamp all of those. What if I took my Where's George note and stamped all of those? Did I just increase the value of that entire stack? No, not at all. So whether it's one Where's George or 1,000 Where's Georges, they're still worth face value. Don't pay for them. I found some trinaries. I collect trinaries because I'm trying to match serial numbers, not because they're worth anything. And even if I do match the serial numbers, I'm not doing that to sell them. I think that's cool. I'd be the person buying that, not that I'm actually trying to buy it. I don't want to buy it. I want to find it myself. So yeah, these are my trinaries that I found. And this is also just to give you guys an idea of how common they are. This is 0s, 1s, and 9s. Here's 0s, 2s, and 3s. 1s, 3s, and 8s. 0s, 6s, and 7s. 2s, 4s, and 5s. 1s, 3s, and 4s. So those were all the trinaries I found this week. Remember, every week I show you how many trinaries I find. It's not if I found a trinary in 1,000 notes, it's how many did I find. That's not rare. When you're asking how many, certainly isn't rare. Then we have quads. This is quad zeros. Quads are also not rare. Some people will say that when you have quad zeros to start, that would make this a low serial number, and that's not true. You need 5 zeros to start for it to be qualified as a low serial number. It is a lower serial number, but it's not worth anything until it has 5 zeros. So no, quads are worthless, even if the quads are zeros. Okay, but I also save quads for the same purpose as me saving trinaries. 1, to match pairs, and 2, to show you how many I can usually find per 1,000. So that was quad zeros. Here's quad 2s again, quad 4s, quad 8s, and this one has 5 6s. Still not really worth anything, but 5 of a kind, once again, still something that I pull because I think it's neat. I don't think it's worth anything. Then I got my stars. 2017 A star, always check to see if they're filled. Another 2017 A, 2013, and then some older notes. I usually save everything that's 20 years or older, so you're talking 2003 A and back. So this is a 2003 A, another 2003 A, and another rough shape that's going to go away. 2003, 2001, another 2001, and another 1995 with writing on it. That's too bad. It's not 295, so that'll probably go away since it's got writing. 1988, and the oldest note I found was from 1977A. So those were my finds this week. What did I pull out? Well, I managed to score a pretty cool note at auction. I do have one of these already, so by me having this one I can probably sell off. I got this one. Yeah, 1922 $20 gold certificate. This one's FR 1187. This is the type of note that got me into collecting currency. Not this exact note, but one similar to it. The one that I keep in my collection is a grade 25, and it's really bright, really good looking note. But this one is graded 20, very fine, by PMG, Paper Money Guarantee. And if we look, it's got a little bit of dirt, not necessarily a bright white page, but it's circulated. I mean, the note's over 100 years old. You can see it does have a hard crease here, hard crease here. The back has that goldfish orange, and you can see it's a little bit dirty here. But the back shows you the true circulation on the bill. So I'm just going to go over that so you guys can see how much you can actually expect to find on a bill graded 20, because that's PMG's grade on this, 20. Overall, a really neat bill. I was fascinated by the fact that, first and foremost, seeing George Washington on a 20, that blew my mind the first time I saw it. Seeing notes that were this size, I didn't realize we had large size money back in the day. That's huge. And this is a gold certificate. I didn't know that we had notes that said in gold coin on them. I'm used to seeing the green serial numbers, not the bright orange here. So yeah, when I first saw this note, I was taken aback and fell in love with the hobby instantly. On the 20, you have this banner, which they used on the small size 20s up until 1996. And really cool picture of George there. Looking at this note, it has no marks on the back, so that's good. This would be called a clean 20, and that's what most collectors are looking for. I managed to spot this at a decent price at auction, so I picked it up. You may end up seeing this one for sale, because when I find cool things like that, I like to pass them on to you guys. All right, so what does Paper Money of the United States have to say? Paper Money of the United States, since we were talking about having price guides, this price guide shows that note. So right away, we know that this is a note that actually does have some value. And whatever the price is in the book, we can assume that is a good guideline for what the price and value would be. And mine was $11.87. Spielman and White, and you can see the first column in a VG8 is $200. In a 12, it's $235. In a 20, we're talking $400. So if we knew the exact grade of this note, we could determine its value, or its approximate value. Well, we know the exact grade because it was sent to a grading company. It grades 20. That means this book's out at about $400. So if you see one of these for sale for $1,000, that guy's probably trying to rip you off. And if you come across one of these for, $350, that would probably be a pretty good price. Because, once again, the book puts these at about $400. That's how you use a price guide. Unlike me trying to determine the value of this. It's a $1 bill, so it's not worth anything over $1, but some people will say, oh no, because of the serial number, it's worth something much more. Okay, show me. If you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.